the field, bring it back to the studio, it's time to edit. The first step is called assembly. You assemble the shots together in a certain sequence that fits the way it was pre-visualized in your mind. Then you watch the assemble.
Jake, this doesn't sound like something anyone would say.
I know. It's one of those things that looks good on paper, but it just doesn't sound right out loud. Okay, how about this? You know how on a novel they have the book jacket with the bio of the author on the back?
Yeah.
What if I do that for each of my characters, like a backstory?
You might feel that the wide shot was on too long, or maybe one of the close-ups was on too short. So then you trim the wide shot to be shorter, and you trim the close-ups to be a little bit longer. In nonlinear editing, you can easily do that just by moving the sliders back and forth at the end of each clip. Just consult your manual for your particular software to learn exactly how to trim. So you watch your assembled sequence again.
Jake, this doesn't sound like something anyone would say.
I know. It's one of those things that looks good on paper, but it just doesn't sound right out loud. Okay, how about this? You know how on a novel they have the book jacket with the bio of the author on the back?
Yeah.
What if I do that for each of my characters, like a backstory?
You like the cuts, but you want to get a reaction shot of person A while person B is still talking. So you find the appropriate reaction shot from person A and you insert it over person B's dialogue. This procedure is called an overlap.
Jake, this doesn't sound like something anyone would say.
I know. It's one of those things that looks good on paper, but it just doesn't sound right out loud. Okay, how about this? You know how on a novel they have the book jacket with the bio of the author on the back?
Yeah.
What if I do that for each of my characters, like a backstory?
You can trim your overlap back and forth until it's just right. Trimming the in point of the overlap clip is called trimming the head of the clip. Trimming the out point is called trimming the tail of the clip. Heads and tails, pretty easy stuff. So now you have an assembled sequence. Now that scene is finished and you can move on to the sequence that pertains to the next scene. You have a rough cut when you've assembled all the individual little sequences of all the scenes together into one large sequence. Now let's just say you wanted one scene to play out at the same time as another scene so that you can show them both happening at the same time. You can use a technique called intercutting or cross-cutting to cut both scenes together so that they play out at the same time as though they were happening at the same time, and according to one of the great film pioneers, Pudovkin, create one of three different scenarios: contrast, parallelism, or simultaneity. When you intercut two different scenes together, where the character in one scene is experiencing a starkly different set of circumstances than the character in the other scene, it makes each character's set of circumstances appear more powerful. That's contrast. For instance, think about Jake's dark, bleak, unhappy existence when contrasted with Rachel's happy, bright, and fulfilled life. When you intercut two separate scenes, but you're not trying to draw attention to the difference in the circumstances, that's parallelism. When you have parallel situations, and the outcome of one situation depends on the other, and you keep cross-cutting between them to lead to more suspense, that's simultaneity. These are principles set down by Pudovkin back in the 20s, over 80 years ago, and yet we're still using the same principles when we cut movies today. Pudovkin, Kuleshov, Eisenstein, and D.W. Griffith were four film pioneers that advanced the use of montage. Montage simply means editing in French, but it was taken up by these pioneers as a means of expressing the type of editing that does not revolve around continuity. Meaning you're not just assembling a scene anymore, going from wide shot to close-up to reverse angle and back to wide shot. You could assemble a montage sequence with shots that are completely unrelated. Montage sequences generally lack dialogue, but they usually have sound effects and or music. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of a montage is Rocky training for his big fight. You have all these shots of him training that are totally unconnected. One time he's doing push-ups, one time he's chasing the chicken around, then he's running through the streets of Philly. But the montage makes an emotional impact that's greater than the sum of its parts, especially when it's coupled with powerful music. If you want to do more research on the types of montage that are available to you as a filmmaker, you should research Eisenstein. He created 5 major techniques that are being used still today in just about every major film ever made. The last major editing technique that we're going to talk about is actually the lack of editing. It's another French word called mise en scène, or mise en scène, and what it means to us today is literally one continuous uncut shot replacing an entire scene. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about that is Billy Bob Thornton's character in Sling Blade, when in one continuous shot he tells the story of how he murdered 2 people. Mise en scène is what we all aspire in filmmaking, is to be able to tell a whole story in one shot so that we never have to cut. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. You require cutting because when you get to the editing room and you realize that your shot has gone on too long, or the pacing is wrong, or the audience has lost interest, you'll wish you had a close-up or a cutaway to cut to. I encourage you as filmmakers to always experiment with mise en scène, but always shoot a backup, shoot a close-up or a cutaway, maybe a medium shot or a reaction shot from another character, just to back yourself up. Don't forget, mise en scène is straight from the camera to the audience. True, you can color correct it, add sound effects and music, but that's about it. You can't edit for content. So if you want to get a medium shot without actually cutting, you're going to have to move the camera by using a dolly or a Steadicam or by using handheld means. And also you're going to have to do a lot of takes because nobody's going to get a 5-minute shot in one take. As you're going to watch in the movie production section, sometimes it takes as many as 10 takes to get a good wide shot. This wide shot or master shot can act as your mise en scène. You can try to use it as just one complete scene if you can, but you have to shoot the close-ups and the medium shots to make sure that if you cannot use it as one continuous shot, at least you have backups, you have something to cut to. There's always going to be something on the set that you're not going to see, you're not going to notice. Somebody flinches or the camera moves a little bit and you don't notice it when you're in the heat of the moment, but when you get to the studio or that post house and you're cutting your movie, you're going to notice it big time, and then you're going to wish you had a close-up to back yourself up with. Otherwise, the entire scene is scrapped. If you do have a mise en scène that you shot, but you didn't shoot a backup and you still want to be able to use the scene, you can intercut it with another scene and then take out the parts that you don't like. Well, thank you for watching the editing section. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. I hope also that you have a lot of research to do at this point because there's no way that any one section, 10 minutes or 10 hours, can encompass editing. It's such an involved and incredible theme. So I encourage you to do some more research into the people that we discussed here in this section. That way you can have a preconceived idea before you actually get on the field and start shooting of what you're going to end up editing later on in post. You know you're going to need cutaways, close-ups, reaction shots, and all those shots are going to help you make a movie that's greater than the sum of its individual parts.